Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. We are now going to learn cumulative distribution function of continuous random variable. So we have a formula here for cumulative or CDF. So we have big letter F, X is equals to the probability of big letter X less than or equals to the small letter x equal to the integral of the function f, small letter f here, please highlight it, and then we integrate it with respect to x from the limit of negative infinity until the x. That is the definition. So this definition is very important for you to understand it, and the easier way to explain this is by using a graph, area under the graph. So let's say this is the graph, and then we have a point, we have a shaded region until 7, and therefore after we integrate it, we will get the big letter F. Okay, because after we integrate the small letter f, we will get the big letter F, which is the shaded region. So the shaded region here is called the big letter F because when we integrate the small letter f. So please make sure you understand the meaning of this. Small letter f will always be inside of this integral. And then we will get the big letter F. And so this big letter F7 is equals to the probability of x less than or equals to 7 because this region is from the negative infinity is shaded. Okay, this region is shaded from the negative infinity until 7. That's why this symbol is less than or equals to 7. Make sure you understand this definition very, very well in order to be good in this 8.2 continuous random variable. So now let's do the example 9. The probability density function of a continuous random variable x is defined as small letter f. So we are given a PDF. Whenever you see small letter f, it means PDF for the continuous random variable. So now we have been given three functions with three different conditions. All right, all of these are very different. These two are quite familiar. These two are quite similar, but then if you look very closely, one is plus and one is minus. Okay, and now let's do the first question here. Obtain a cumulative distribution function. So this question is asking us from this probability density function, which is PDF, we gotta change it into CDF. So it means that from the small letter f, we gotta find the big letter f. How do we do that? It is by integration. Okay, we will always involve integration if PDF is going to CDF. But let's say let's say we are given CDF, we want to find PDF, what should we do then? We will do differentiation. But then I won't show you in this video. I will only teach you how do we solve from PDF to CDF using integration. Okay, since the definition here is in fact integrate. So I am here to make sure you understand how to apply this negative infinity until x. That is what we are going to learn for this question A. So first thing first is by drawing a number line. This number line will really help you. Okay, and then let me describe a little bit about this number line. This number line is having a function of 3 over 16 times x plus 2 the whole thing squared. This is where the region of x is in between -2 and 0, where -2 is included. So please know that this is the region. And the next region is 3 over 16 times x minus 2, the whole thing squared. This is the part for the next region, which is from 0 to 2, where 0 is included, 2 is not included. While the rest of it, which is the otherwise part, is where something to the left and something to the right. This otherwise means other than these two functions, the function is 0. That's why I put here fx is equals to 0 for both left and right there. Okay, just make sure you practice to do this thing. Okay, even though you are good already, or if you struggle it is best if you write down this thing again and again so that you are very familiar with all these inequalities. Okay, so why do I ask you to write it down? It is easier for us to write down the first step because all these are marks. For the first step is for x less than -2, which is at the first region here. We will start with the first region and we will continue until we get to the last part of the region. Okay, so now the first step is for the first region, which is x less than -2. You gotta know how to write this thing. It is a must. So now we are trying to find big letter f. So we will start with big letter f x equals to the integral of -infinity until x. So make sure you know this. This is important. Okay, until x. Why cannot we write down -2? Because that is not how we solve the process. The process is not until 2. You gotta make sure you write down before the -2, which is an unknown x. We do not know what is it, but at least we know something is there, but we put the x as the unknown. All right, and then let's put the f function fx, and then we gotta figure it out. What is the function? So the function here for the fx there is what? Is 0. So we put there 0, close it down with dx. So any integration for 0, it is always 0. So you have got your first mark already. All these things are your marks. So make sure you write down it nicely. So in fact, this is a definition, okay? This is the cumulative distribution function for the continuous random variable. It always must have the unknown of x there, okay? Look at your notes back. See this? This is the definition to get the cumulative distribution function. Make sure you know this and you really memorize these things directly right now. Okay, so the first step done. The second step is where you will solve the second part of the region then. Okay, so again I repeat, the second step is for the next region from -2 until 0, but the -2 is inclusive. We must follow whatever the questions is given us, okay? Make sure you follow it. So make sure you write down the region, the condition, and then you can start your fx. So your fx now is equal to the integration from -infinity. Always start with -infinity until where? In order to go to the second region here, we will pass through, isn't it? We will pass through the number -2. So we will write the -2 over here because we have passed through the -2. We are going through it, -2. the negative 2, and then we write down the fx, and then we plus it. We cannot stop there. We plus it from the negative 2 as well. We continue from the negative 2 until what? Until x. We must stop here. We must stop here. Okay, we now is stopping before the 0 because again we are following the definition of CDF. CDF said we must stop before the number there. We must stop before the limit 0. Okay, and so we must put the x. That's the definition for CDF. And so don't forget to put the function fx dx. Next part is where we gotta solve these things. If you look here, I already done my answers here, which is f negative 2, big letter F negative 2. I hope by now you already understand why is it big letter F here. It is just simply because of the definition. The definition said whatever the number there, let's say this is negative 2 following this, and this will be changed to negative 2, isn't it? So if this is negative 2, it will give you the answer 0. And so f negative 2 is 0. And so that is how you do the solution. Make sure you understand the definition. If you understand it, you can know your answer directly. It is just from this part of the step, this part of the answer, if you put the negative 2 inside it. Next one is the function f. Okay, the next term is small letter f here. The small letter f here is make sure you are choosing the correct function. Okay, this second part of the function, this second part of the region is using this function. And therefore you are going to pick the correct function there. Okay, after you pick the correct function, pick the function and then you will start to integrate it slowly and nicely. Okay, integrate it and then you will get your answer. Final answer is this one. Okay, or this one. Up to you. Which one do you want to choose? Both are correct. All right, let's solve the step tree. The step tree is where the third part of the region, where it is from 0 until 2, but 0 is inclusive. And so we are going to find our third function, which is big letter f is equals to from the negative infinity until negative 2. It's the same process. You will cross by this negative 2, and then you will also cross by 0 until you reach out before the number 2. This will be your unknown x there. So there will be 3 terms where you will pass through the negative 2 first. And then from negative 2, you will go through 0. Again, I highlight it. And then put the function fx dx. And then the last part will be from 0. And then we will stop at x. This will be your stopping, the station, the bus stop, where you put an x there. Make sure you know you gotta put it before the number 2, because we are now at the third part of the region where it must stop before the limit number 2. Okay, that's why we must put the x because of the definition of cumulative. And so don't forget to put the function of fx. Therefore, we have 3 terms. Can you see here? 1, 2, and 3 terms. We must write it down for us to go to the next step. Okay, so make sure you know there are 3 terms for the third region. 3 terms there, 1, 2, 3. And then we go to the next part, which is how do I know big letter F0 from this part of from these 2 terms. So actually from these 2 terms here, okay, these two terms from negative infinity until 0 is actually f0. If I write it again here, integral of negative infinity until 0 for the function fx dx, it will give you big letter f0. So actually, two terms of this is representing the big letter f0. And so I know it directly. I can just put big letter f0 and directly got my answers. And how do I know this thing? I know this thing from the step 2. This is actually from step number 2. This step number 2 that we have found just now is this part. Okay, this one. So this is step number 2. The answer for the step number 2 where it given you fx, right? And then right now I want to find f0. So I just put my 0 into this function. That's why I got here 0 plus 2. The whole thing cubed, divide everything with 16. Because it passes through 0 already. And that's why it already passes through 0. And so we can put the 0 and use this function. And so this part, the last term, is where you gotta think by yourself. How do you get this function minus that? It is actually from the third region where you pick the third function, okay, where you pick this function x minus 2 inside here, the whole thing squared, and then you integrate as usual. Okay, you integrate as usual, you will get these answers. Okay, and the front part here, I already got my answer, which is 8 over 16. And then 8 over 16 will be plus with 8 over 16 will give me 16 over 16, which is 1. And my total answer, my total solution is this part. Yeah, this is the answer for fx for the third region, step number 3. Okay, remember, we are trying to find the cumulative. That's why everything must be in terms of x still. And the last step, step number 4, which is the last part of the region there. This is very, very easy, but this is easy because of the function 0. But still, we gotta write from, have a guess, where do we need to write from? We need to still write it down from negative infinity, guys. We gotta show it no matter what. That's the process. And it passes through negative 2. And then from the negative 2, it passes through 0, right? And then from this 0, it passes through where? It passes through number 2 as well before going to the fourth region. It passes number 2 now. So we got to write 2 from 0 to 2. Fx dx. And then the last part of the region, which is from 2 until x, put the function fx dx. And so this is the last part of the region, but then still we gotta write down all of the first 3 terms as well, indicating we know the first 3 regions. Okay, and then again, we do understand the first 3 regions here is actually F2. And so F2, I got my answer for F2, which is 1 plus something. 1 plus 2 minus 2, the whole thing cubed, and then divided by 16. How do I got this? It is just actually from my step 3. So it is actually this thing is from previous step, which is the step 3. All you gotta do is just sub in the number 2 inside here. Okay, sub in 2 there from this step number 3. Okay, it has now become F2 here. So we take the answers from step 3, we put in the number 2 there. And so at the back here, the fourth term, we know it is 0. And so integrate still got 0. So in the end, the answer is just 1 because the total probability is always must give us 1. So if you did not get 1, it means you did it wrongly. Okay, so this is the indicator. This is the indicator whether you are doing it right or not. So make sure you get number 1 as the last step, step 4. As a conclusion, this is the conclusion. That is not the answer. This is the conclusion. The conclusion, you must write it down in terms of piecewise function, guys. You cannot just leave it like that. Even though they ask you the CDF, okay, you still got to write it in terms of piecewise function. So here is my answer. Big letter F now is equals to 0 because my first step, do you remember my first step answer is 0 from this region x less than negative 2. And then the second region is where this is my answer, x plus 2 the whole thing cubed divided by 16. For the second part of the region, this is step number 2. That's why I put it step by step. And then the third step is where, this is the third step where we got the answer. With this condition from 0 to 2, but 0 is inclusive. And the last one is number 1, which is the last step. The probability is equals to 1 where x is greater or equal to 2. So that's the reason why I put step by step, and that is why important for you to write it down. Every step and every conditions very, very important to get your cumulative distribution function. This will give you the final marks. Good luck now.